Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'd like to start this journey by telling you a little bit more about me.
Nice.
It all begins with where I was born, in San Francisco. When I turned 1, I moved to New York. I lived there for the next 13 years. I started playing baseball at a young age, and that's where my love affair began with the game. In that picture, I was 10 years old, and I got to run the I got to run the bases with all the other kids after the game. Truly a rewarding experience for me. The next image, don't worry, it's not Halloween yet, but I do like to get dressed up. And the reason for me getting dressed up was the opportunity I got to go to my first Giants playoff game.
Did they win?
They did not win, but I started the trend for them to win the championship.
Yeah. What was that outfit?
Take a look at it.
Give it.
The next image is where I went to college. I went to school at UC Santa Cruz and studied economics. You'll see an image of a passport. I love to travel. Can't live without it. One of my goals for 2015 is to travel to one of the countries on my bucket list. That country will be Brazil in the second half of the year. I hope you remember that.
Vacation. That's two.
Two of my favorite places to travel have been New Orleans and Israel. Before I started with Kimco, I had to delay my start because I went to the Jazz Festival in New Orleans. I got to witness amazing music, eat wonderful food, and see an incredible culture. The beignets were pretty much the best in the world. The next image was me on a camel with my friend in Israel. It was a wild ride, but my grandmother was Israeli. My immediate family served in the Israeli Defense Force, and my family still lives there now. I try and go there every few years. This image reflects my love for cooking. At that point, I was working at an Italian restaurant with one of my friends. I can't live without a kitchen. It's a skill that will never grow old and keep my friends and family close. I attribute my ability to multitask so well from the time that I spent working in a restaurant. This next image began when I typed teaching abroad into Google. I left 6 weeks later and spent a year teaching English in South Korea, just as Jim did. I love the opportunity to be immersed with a new culture, eat incredible food, and overall work with the children. James Brown, my favorite musical artist hands down. When I'm not at Kimco or in the office, I try to go to a local soul or funk performance. Finally, you'll see an image of the word karaoke. I like to do my best to try to entertain on the karaoke stage.
James Brown?
I gotta see that.
I have, yes.
To the splits?
Your hair has a song you like to do too.
Maybe the after party.
Yeah, maybe.
So now that you've learned a little bit more about me personally, I'd like to tell you why I applied for the program. There are 3 main reasons why I applied for the program. First, improve my communication skills. 2, enhance my relationships with corporate support and leadership. And 3, career growth. I didn't know where my strengths lied in Kimco's eyes, and I wanted to obtain direction on what might be in store for me in the future. I understand, excuse me, I was the first future leader selected from Northern California. I understand that it was a risk to select someone that was 401 miles away. Yes, I looked it up. I'd like to thank you for taking that risk and now share the results that I obtained from the program. First was relationship building, second was communication, and third was assertiveness. As you can see, all the pieces of the pie are interrelated. I'd like to start with relationship building. Initially, I was an individual performer out of the branch. While I was happy with this, I wanted to obtain a platform that I could provide a greater sense of value to the organization as a whole. I gained deeper relationships with corporate support and my teammates. All 7 of us that were involved in the program gained a deeper sense of trust with one another and connection. I'd like to key in on 2 of those examples with you now. First is Jim. Jim and I speak on a regular basis. We talk about how business is going for each of us, clients that he's referred to us, thank you, Jim,
Nice.
and random sports discussions. Truly brightens up my day. A specific example for Jim as well was when we're working to reactivate old clients. Jim shared a method with me to be more memorable in doing this, and it got me more responses than I did before. So thank you, Jim.
Jerry McGuire example.
Well, we can maybe discuss
Okay,
it.
well, yeah, we want to know.
Moving on to Brad. Brad has the greatest work ethic of anyone that I know. A few months ago, don't get mad, Eric, I was working on an accounting position.
Did you see accounting position?
It was only 9 to 10.
To be honest with you, I can't even spell the word accountant. But Brad took the time to help me understand what the job details were. And Brad went a step ahead, which he does often. He sent me resumes of candidates in my area for this position. So thank you, Brad.
Nice.
Did we get Phil?
We did. Well, it was one that I found based on his suggestions.
Good job.
Thank you.
That was great, both guys. Getting the fills.
I didn't do any of the work, I just found this.
Yeah, well, that's very nice.
Moving on to me.
So,
Excuse me. Moving on to communication. I knew that I needed to gain a deeper understanding of my teammates and what their needs were. A specific example of this may be hard for you to believe, but I was short and argumentative with my team. What did I do with this information, you say? I went to each team member individually and explained to them my work ethic. I apologize if I made them feel this way, but I laid out how I operate. I feel that this has gained a deeper relationship with each of them. Finally, we come to assertiveness. I don't know if any of you have seen my Rembrandt, but I got a 3. Yes, a 3 on aggressiveness. So I took that number as a goal for me to improve throughout this program. From completing this program, Tom can attest to this. I'm able to have a healthy dialogue with him and management and my team. I wasn't able to have that before. When I didn't agree with something, I might be one to take it in and hold it to myself. But now I can share that with others in a healthy manner. I also feel more confident in myself in regards to how I compose myself and in my problem solving. The next slide is in regards to the keynote speakers. As you've heard everyone say today, Ham is an incredible man, truly inspirational in every sense of the word. One key point that I took from him was something that he gave all of us. On the plane ride back, I read Douglas MacArthur's farewell speech to his cadets in 1962. I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but General MacArthur stated 3 things. 1, be humble with your successes. 2, don't shy away from a challenge. And 3, accept failure. Moving on to Robert, I took that he stressed the importance of creating an identity within your team. He also shared that if you come together as a group, you can obtain a common goal. I took this model that he shared with us and brought it to our office in Walnut Creek. Walnut Creek was in a rut. I felt like we needed to think outside of the box to obtain a solution to solve the problem. We came together and threw spaghetti at the wall in a sense. Each of us had ideas on improving our candidate database, as Cameron would say, working with good clients. And just general processes overall. So it was a huge influence on me. Last but not least was the time that I spent with Kim. It was my first time ever going to a country club. I learned the importance of networking, building client relationships, how to take care of your client during a meeting, and also how to avoid those awkward times when the bill comes. Another takeaway that I had was adding humor to your day. I've had a big problem with this based on the way that I work. But through this program, I realized that adding humor really adds a sense of comfort to your day, as well as the other people that you're working with. Knock, knock. Who's there? What's the next slide? Eventual meetings. So I initially met with Jen and learned the method to complete decision making. It was the LEMP method, standing for legal, ethical, moral, and profitable. I haven't had to use this method yet, but it's provided me with the foundation for the future. Moving on to Steve. Steve and I met, and I was given the first opportunity to review a P&L, take a look at the costs associated to workers' compensation claim, and see the investments that Kimco was making into the future. These were things I was really interested in, me knowing all the details. Another thing that I took from Steve was, Steve, I watched the movie Harvey, as you suggested.
Oh, wow, somebody finally did.
So my take is just a little bit about what I got from it. The character Jimmy Stewart is Elwood. Elwood, as you know, had a rabbit that was beside him at all times, but of course it wasn't really there. So I took that. So I took that he kept strong in his beliefs, no matter how many people tried to take them away from him. And at the conclusion, sorry I'm giving it away, he turned non-believers into believers, which I think is a definition of a true leader. Moving on to Cameron. We could not have been more opposite. But you know what they say, opposites attract. At the beginning, we gained a number of common interests between one another. Forgive me just a moment, Steve, thank you. Going back to Cam. We gained a lot of common interests between one another personally. But the biggest takeaway that I took from my meeting with him was focusing on today and not worrying about tomorrow. I started to prioritize my daily tasks, and this has really been a huge influence on me. Thank you, Kim. Moving on to Gene. Last but not least. Gene gave me valuable insight into the operations world and helped shape what future growths or plans might be in store for me at Kimco. She also taught me the importance of active listening, as well as not jumping to conclusions, and taking a look at the bigger picture, knowing that you can take a break for a second, see what's in front of you, and you'll gain a better result. While I like to say that all the mentors had a huge impact on me, I wouldn't be able to complete this program or presentation without doing the modules. Each of the 12 modules were personalized for us individually.
I got 2 smiles the last slide. Every slide I got a smile. Every one of them. Yeah, this one you guys may have to help.
Everyone was about to have a smile because I almost missed my mouth.
There, that's what I'm talking about. Okay.
The first module that made an impact on me was nonverbal communication. I noticed how I was portraying myself nonverbally in a meeting with a client, in a group meeting in terms of our office each day, and with a candidate when I'm interviewing them. I realized that I need to have an open and welcoming, needed to present an open and welcoming way, because that would ease the person on the other side. I also noticed how others were composing themselves nonverbally and how I needed to adjust my dialogue. A specific example of this will come in the next component. Personality and behavior styles. Everyone's different, but you have to learn how to work with them, but maintaining who you are at the same time. One of the biggest challenges. In the video, there was reference for TBI in some of the jobs. I think they're one of our biggest clients right now. Midway through last year, they had a new HR director come in, and I had to meet them. They flew in from Baltimore, big meeting. They didn't want to hear what I had to say. I'll tell you why. We were sitting across the table from them, and their arms were crossed. They gave short answers. I couldn't even ask, how are you? How was your flight? I needed to mirror what they were presenting to me to have an effective meeting. Finally, I'd like to recommend, I know me have a recommendation for that. I'd like to recommend 2 things for future classes. I think it's unanimous that all 7 of us have things to say about the 360 survey. I'd like to discuss the second point in regards to completing the DISC profile when you do the kickoff event. At the kickoff event, you complete the QMI slide, so you get to know someone personally, but their true personality will come out in the DISC profile. We're almost done. But there's one more question. Where do I want to go from here? What's in store for me? First and foremost, branch profitability.
Oh yeah.
We've been able to come closer to this thanks to Tom. And thank you for sharing him with us. Tom has brought a sense of prioritizing your orders, being more effective during your day, and this has really jumped our numbers in terms of a positive light over the last 2 months. So thank you. Next would be a supervisory role. After speaking with Gene, I learned that a role in corporate operations, sorry, I'm moving to the left. After my meeting with Gene, I learned that an operations role might be in store for me. Whether it's branch or corporate, either one works for me. So I'll say that I'm flexible and relocatable.
Hey, on branch profitability, did you say Tom also helped the humor in the office?
Yes, definitely.
Can you give us an example?
An example is you're looking at it. It's Tom himself. He's brought me and the rest of the team to another level, and it's truly making wonders.
Good job. Using humor appropriately. I was just checking. Follow-up alumni thing.
This presentation would be complete with a few special acknowledgements that I'd like to make. First and foremost, Susan, thank you for your leadership, guidance, and support throughout this program. I'd also like to thank my future leader alumni, Linda, and also Rachel. As Maria said, Rachel was as Maria mentioned, Rachel was her mentor, but Rachel took the time to take me in as well, so thank you. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to hear my journey today, and I look forward to seeing what comes in the future. Thank you.
All right.